Hiya, it's math time. So we're going to work on pages 209 and 210 today. And the moral of the story with 209 and 210 is these pages are about interpreting or making sense of the remainders from a division problem. Sometimes with the remainder, when we're thinking about a story problem or we're thinking about like how would this play out in real life, we can ignore the remainder. The remainder doesn't really matter. Sometimes the remainder definitely matters. Sometimes we have a remainder and we round up to the next whole number. Sometimes we have a remainder and we want to express it as a fraction. It really depends on the problem. So let's get started. We'll look at page 209 and we'll look at the first problem together. So the first problem is this guy Jackson. He's buying balloons for a party. Generous guy, loves a party. The balloons cost $6 per bunch. Ooh, let me draw that. Okay, so I got a bunch of balloons. I don't know how many. That's a nice little bunch of balloons. And this costs $6. And it says Jackson has 75. So here's Jackson. And he's got $75. And then the question is, how many bunches of balloons can he buy with those $75? And then we're going to think a little bit about the remainder, what it means, and how we could interpret it. So let's just solve the problem first. So if we have $75 to share, to like sort of spread out over 6 balloons, we can set up, actually let's pause on the multiplication chart because I suspect we won't need it right now. We'll just do our steps. Divide, multiply, subtract, and bring it down. So let's start with 7. So 7 divided by 6, how close can we get without going over? So 7 divided by 6, 1, and then multiply. 1 times 6 is 6. Subtract, bring it down. Okay, now we have 15. 15 divided by 6, the closest we can get is 2. 2 times 6 is 12. Subtract. Now we've got a remainder of 3. So we need to be super clear about what all of these different numbers mean. So this is the money he had to start. This is this is how much each balloon costs. So this tells us how many bunches of balloons he was able to buy. And then this is the leftover money. Cool. So let me make sure that you can see my board. There we go. So then the question is sort of like, does that remainder matter? Is there anything that we can really do with those leftover $3? Will they give us half a bunch of balloons? Probably not. But we don't want to just throw that money away. Let's go back to what the question is actually asking us. So first thing we do is, of course, we have our number model with unknowns if you're following along in your journal. What we did was we took 75, we divided it by 6, and then our unknown needs to be a lowercase letter. Let's go with J for Jackson. And then you're asked, what's the actual answer? Well, we found the answer. The answer is that he can buy 12 bunches. Not 12 remainder 3 bunches, because that doesn't really make sense. You ever go to the store and say, I'd like 12 remainder 3 bunches of balloons? They're going to look at you funny. So we bought 12 bunches. And then we have our number model with our answer. 75 divided by 6 equals 12 remainder 3. But when it comes to what we're doing with that remainder, are we really paying attention to it? Do we need it? I mean, really, at the end of the day, we kind of ignored it. Those extra $3 are lovely and Jackson can spend them on something else, but when it comes to buying bunches of balloons, that $3 isn't particularly useful. So while our answer was 12 remainder 3, our exact answer, our practical answer, our useful answer was 12. We just ignored that remainder. All right, let's look at another problem. So still on page 209, our next problem is about our lovely friend Rosa. Let's make some space. So Rosa's buying boxes to hold 128 of her DVDs. Wowzer cakes. Rosa, it's a lot of DVDs. So she has 128 DVDs. She's buying boxes, and each box can hold 5. So the question is, how many boxes does she need to store all of her DVDs? So let's set up our division. So we've got 128 DVDs all together. And she can divide them into boxes of 5. So this is the number that's doing the dividing. It's our divisor. Let's go one step at a time. Oh, and we have to divide, multiply, subtract, and bring it down. Start with 1. 1 divided by 5 for our purposes is 0. 0 times 5. Sorry. 0 times 5 is 0. Subtract, bring it down. There's 12. Okay, now 12 divided by 5. Closest we can get is 2. 2 times 5 is 10. Subtract, bring it down. 28. 28 divided by 5. The closest we can get is 5. 5 times 5 is 25. Subtract. And we've got a remainder of 3. But again, let's think about what these numbers mean. What are they representing sort of in the real world? So in the real world, these are all of her DVDs. I don't know if you can really see that green. Let's go over to This is her total. This is how many DVDs go in one box. So this would be how many boxes she can fill. And this would be how many DVDs are left over. So here's a slightly different situation. So we saw in the last problem, we had those leftover $3. Well, those $3 aren't going to get us very far, so we can sort of ignore them. But in this case, Rose is not just going to throw those 3 DVDs away. She's going to need another box for them. Now, that box won't be totally full. It can hold up to 5. It looks like she'll only need it to hold 3. But this is a case where we need to round our answer up, where the remainder really does make a difference. So let's go back to the journal page and see what we can write down. So our number model with our unknown, we did 128 divided by 5 equals D for DVDs, keeping it simple. And then their answer was, well, we got 25 remainder 3, but we're really going to need 26 boxes, because if we just have 25 boxes, then Rose is going to have 3 DVDs that aren't being protected, that she can't carry around with her, whatever her plans are for her DVDs. The number model with the answer, then, would be 128 divided by 5 equals 25, remainder 3. So in the previous problem, we could sort of ignore that remainder because it didn't really make a difference, because there wasn't anything Jackson could do with those leftover $3. But in this case, the remainder matters, and we're going to round up because Rosa still has 3 DVDs that need someplace to go. To give you another sort of practical example, there are 22 students and 2 teachers in our classroom. So there are 24 of us all together. Let's say that we were going putt-putt golfing. No, we're going real golfing because we need golf carts. The whole thing is we need golf carts. And let's say the golf carts can hold 5 people. How many golf carts would we need? Well, let's see. There's 24 of us. Five people per cart. If we just said we need 4 carts and the other 4 people can walk, no thank you, rude. Even though 24 divided by 5 is for remainder 4, those other 4 people matter. They also need a golf cart. You know what I'm saying? Golf carts are super fun, by the way. Yay. And I think you don't have to be 16 to drive one. I would check your state and local laws. Anyway, so we have to think just in practical terms, just in real life terms, when does the remainder matter? And what do we do with that remainder if it does? So I'm going to leave you to work on page 210. There's a question about Latifa number 3. And I got to tell you, I think there are 2 perfectly reasonable things that you could do with that remainder. So for me, for number 3, there is an exact correct answer in terms of numbers. But with what you do about the remainder, if you ignore it, report it as a fraction, or round it up, I really think it could kind of go either way. So there you go. Once you're done, snap a pic of your work, send it to me, and I'll see you later.